What is an Oshi? Hold on. Okay, what is an Oshi? I gotta do this with mouse. There are VTubers. Oh yeah. This comes from idol culture terms. Your favorite in a group is your Oshi. Your overall favorite. This is your Kami Oshi. Kami meaning like God. Also, Oshi is the word like to push. So it's like the person you want to push, they push you, you support. I could just type, but that's no fun. I could do it with the text style that looks like handwriting. So I'm just noting this. A lot of VTuber fans, especially in the West, will not say the word Kami Oshi. You will never hear it come out of their mouths. They will still just say Oshi. But, you know, this all comes from idol culture and Eastern stuff, so I want to make that clear because you might see people say Kami Oshi. And then, now there's other stuff going on. Oshi mark. This is one or two, sometimes it's a combination of two emojis that go next to their name on social media. You can put this on your profile to let people know who your Oshis. Right? Yeah, like Numi with my favorite Oshi mark, it's just the pregnant emoji. The pregnant lady. So yeah, when you see people on Twitter doing this, that's what this means. Something that you may have noticed is that Sykkuno fans call themselves Sprouts, and they have the little sprout emoji. It's literally an Oshi mark. And the thing is, no one really does this for facecam streamers, but for whatever reason, they all started doing it, and I was like, okay, that's cute, I'm glad. I'm glad, because I like anything that makes like camaraderie get stronger between a community, right? And I feel like there's a lot of stuff like this, these systems that make it easier for like VTuber fans to do this. But then when non-VTubers like try to get their community together, there's just less of this kind of stuff around, right? So it's nice to see more of them do it because there's no reason why they can't. They don't have to be a fucking VTuber to do it, right? Sykkuno's too idol-like? No, he's not. Well, no. But he definitely does appeal to the same fan base, I would say. I'd say he was. Yeah, he would. Yeah. Does a VTuber avatar? The last time he used it, I had a stream on my TV and I took a shitty picture zoomed in from afar on my phone of the TV with his VTuber on it. And I sent it and was like, oh my god, VTuber real. Because he has one of my favorite artists as his model artist, so I love the way the model came out. And I get really sad that he doesn't use it more. I'm not gonna sad farm him over it, but like, I wish he would. I don't know, maybe I'll just like hold him up at gunpoint and be like, you have to film a Geek It Chat episode. That way I can like speak to you with the model on or some shit. I don't know. Been here almost 1.5 years and never got this rundown. Okay, what other words, what other terms, systems, what do you want to know? Do VTubers look down on PNGtubers? Ooh, some do. Most don't. Most don't. They're like, it's just a brand or identity and it's cool. However, about like a two-year period ago, there was this discourse between a lot of the early VTuber community when the community was smaller. They were like trying to talk about the difference and say that it's like lesser, and I was like, shut up. Or they were like, they didn't like the people who had PNGs, which is not a fully animated model, right? It's a two-frame, like mouth open, mouth closed. No, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. I don't think it's the same thing. It's not a VTuber, but there's no reason to think it's lesser. That's weird. I was like, what's the point of this discourse? Who the fuck cares? Yeah, punching down. Like there was no reason. It was so weird to me. It is different. A VTuber has like a fully animated thing that is tracking with their face, whereas a PNG model only changes based off of audio for the most part. Though then again, you can hook some up to additional buttons. Like you can get crazy with it, but still it's not actually tracking to your facial expressions. So I think it's good to make the distinction because it's tech-wise very different, but to be shitty about it, like, shut the fuck up. I was getting so mad at people. I was like, it's okay to want terms to be defined, but like, why like make it into anything else? I don't know. It was freaking me out, dude, at the time. Not gonna lie. Those days were so rancid and full of discourse. Yeah, straight up. That's why I never focused on Twitter as like a growth point for me. Literally, Shoto, you were using a PNG for so long and doing so well, and I was always like, look at him go. Like, good example of how you can just be a good streamer and it doesn't matter. Like, one is not better. Why is there lore and why do almost all VTubers do music? The notion that almost all VTubers do music is completely false. Most don't. It comes from specifically idol culture again, because early VTubers were born out of idol culture in Japan. So a lot of those early VTubers followed the same formula, right? Which is like, be a character, because idols essentially are like a character. They're a version of a person. You know, some are more authentic to themselves than others for sure. It's this idol-like experience that you're giving someone, so you have to be like a perfect person, right? It's the same thing, but just doing it virtually. That's kind of like where VTubing, early VTubing kind of started. So a lot of the promotion also, the best way to promote a VTuber was to do music and to do any like idol related content, because it's the sort of thing you set up on a computer. Very early, a lot of them started streaming, and as they were streaming, that became the norm. Because like then you didn't have to be a whole ass musician, singer, dancer, full on like person capable of being an idol to be a VTuber. Anyone who could like talk and be entertaining could be a VTuber. So that becoming more accessible made it so that over time so many more of them were just streamers, and then you know, enough of them did that became like the pipeline. Everyone's like, oh, VTubers are streamers, which not necessarily. You could be a VTuber and literally just run a Twitter account and make no content anywhere else, and still, you know, if people like the character and you make funny content there, they might buy your merch. Right? Like it literally doesn't matter, but people see an example of what people do and then they do that. So that's why most of them are streamers. Seems like it's more the corporate VTubers that do it. Yeah, that's the other thing, is like music is really difficult because it takes so many people involved to do it, unless you literally know how to do all this yourself, mixing, mastering, being really good at singing, all of this experience wrapped up, and then being confident enough in it to post it. All of that is very hard for one person. So the corpo VTubers are more likely to do it because they can just get the people for the music, right? And they're like, you literally just have to sing this. Here, we wrote you lyrics. And you could be involved if you want, but like you could also be bad at all this stuff. You could even be bad at singing, and they'll be like, whatever, we'll mix the shit out of your voice. You know, so you sound better. Here you go. So it's like really accessible to them. So the corpo VTubers, even if they're not super confident in singing, a lot of them still try it because the end result can still be all right. Not even auto-tune, I just mean like good mixing. If you're not a good singer, good mixing helps. If you're a good singer but your shit is mixed poorly, it's not gonna sound good. That's just so important. Around 2 years ago, I started noticing VTubers. Is that when they started becoming more popular in the West? Yeah. I'd say in Japan, they grew a lot. From like 2018 to 2020 especially was a huge boom. There were some before that and definitely a lot after that, but you know, that was JP. It was a little pre-pandemic and then through the pandemic, and then in the West a lot of stuff during, like a little after the start of the pandemic, was when VTubing really picked up in the number of people streaming and the number of viewers watching, for the West at least, for the English speaking audience I should say. Not necessarily the West, because there's a lot in Southeast Asia too that are English speaking, but you know, not Western. So if you were an English speaking VTuber before 2021, you were almost guaranteed to find a minimum amount of success that was pretty good, just because there were so few of them, but the viewers were like rolling in. They were seeing the clips of Corone saying something about Mario and thinking he was funny, and they were like, VTubers, Twitch, you know, and like they were like searching for the VTubers on Twitch, and they found them. That's just how it is, and now we out here. After Hololive EN debuts, when I think they got popular in the West. It was starting before that. That contributed to the boom a huge amount, yes. But it was starting before. Are VTubers gonna take over the world? I'm scared. No, they're just gonna blend in with everything else and become more normalized. The boom is over, if I'm being real with you. If you just are a VTuber and show up and start being a VTuber, no one's gonna watch you just because you are a VTuber. It was kind of like that in like 2021 though. Or more 2020 and early 2021. If you just were a VTuber, use the tag on Twitch, people would just show up and be like, ooh, new VTuber. And they were so into the idea of supporting small ones. Now there's so many that like people have been there, done that. It's not happening. Nowadays, it's just like being any other streamer, you know? I had a coworker ask me if I watched Joel once. It was crazy. Wait, really? Joel's a real one, for the record. Can I just say, out of all VTubers, he's one of the realest, one of the greatest friends you could have. Morally upstanding, great fella. Streaming as a whole during the pandemic and VTubers just followed with it. Yeah, for sure.